Ndị be anyị kenenu m unu. Anyị si ka ụbọchị nketa mara na anyị na mma. Anyị si ka nke onye chiri ya zelu. Dịka o si dị ya bụ Eastern News 24 ka anyị si wetara ya bụ ozi unu jegị n'ugbu a n'iru akwụkwọ. This is according to the Biafran activist. Quote, Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, but the CEO ya Biafran Chief of Staff and also Deputy Prime Minister, has petitioned to FBI concerning the issue Mad Simon Eba when in Finland, but the Biafran Prime Minister and also Master Makamazin Namdekano. Yabi ife ka nwanne nwoke jubile maka ya wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ ka ọ kọrọra ya na dịka o si wee dị. Dịka ihe ga-ya bụ ife ga-esi ya ka baalụ ka drọpụra ife iche n'ụdị nke gị Master maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile nwanne anyị kwu n'iru akwụkwọ. Alright, over to you, sir.
Thank you for staying with us. Still on the world news at 12. Since President Donald Trump took office on Monday, January 20, 2025, taking orders have been one of the order of the day and making several decisive actions. One of the most prominent updates so far from the United States is that the Trump administration has given the green light to law enforcement agencies to arrest former Rivers State Governor and current FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. However, this social media post, which alleged that the new U.S. leader ordered the arrest of top Nigerian Minister Nyesom Wike, evidence could not be found to buttress it. Wike, Otem, other top politicians stormed Ibadan, and the reasons emerged. However, Nyesom Wike has urged Nigerians to stay calm, although Trump's executive order has set the mantra on stage specifically affecting Nigeria when it comes to U.S. aids. Nyesom Wike and the story about him being arrested and ordered his arresting by Trump is untrue. Facts have emerged that, however, Trump's immediate response and executive orders, which may clamp down on certain countries and their leaders, specifically the recent one with South Africa, no such story on President Donald Trump are actually asking for the arrest of Nyesom Wike has ever dimmed the light. Social media posts which have actually circulated releasing the story has deemed to be untrue and totally false. Right now, we want to head into a news analysis segment where I currently have right here on the telephone Barrister Fred Nzako. Barrister Fred Nzako is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Barrister Fred Nzako is meant to help us clarify some certain issues and discrepancies on some of the stories read out on the World News at 12. One of them is considering the recent statement that circulated across social media platforms on the clampdown or arrest on some political stalwarts in Nigeria, one of them being Nyesom Wike, and the fact that Trump has been taking decisive actions across board which may also affect Nigeria, specifically on certain programs and aids that we currently rely on. The second question is concerning the uproar that arose for the between the Police Service Commission and obviously the Inspector General of Police. However, the officers within the ranks of the police are already not in good terms with the IGP concerning the extension of some of them who have actually retired or supposed to retire at the age of 35 or completing 60 years, 35 years of service and 60 years of age. Also, we're also looking into the fact that a coalition measure is on the way. However, the name of the coalition measure has not been disclosed. Some factions of the All Progressives Congress who are disgruntled with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as well as the New Nigeria People's Party, the Labour Party, and the People's Democratic Party, tend to come together to form a coalition to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. However, these political stalwarts who are forming this political party have not disclosed precisely who the presidential candidates and the vice will be to fly the flag of that political party. But political analysts believe that it is definitely something that is to take place ahead of 2027 to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if at all he indeed intends to re-campaign for the 2027 general elections. Also, INEX mantra in Edo State throwing the towel. While there have been serious speculations as to the conduct of the elections in Edo State, complaints of irregularities. The PDP's governorship candidate in Edo State also said he got a lot of evidence, documents presented to buttress the fact that there were quite a number of irregularities in the polling units over voting. Apparently, the latest update is that INEC could not present any witness whatsoever to testify against the PDP's Asue Ugodalo, stating that there was overvoting and a couple of irregularities in some of the wards and polling units. INEC could not continue cross-examination or questioning. Rather, the lawyers of Monday Okpebolo and the lawyers of PDP's Asue Ugodalo would have to cross-examine witnesses brought by both teams. This, according to political analysts, is a huge risk in that particular area. There is a possibility that as it stands, Asue Ugodalo may actually have a line to prove that indeed the PDP won the elections in Edo State. While that is also ongoing, Barrister Fred Nzako would also help us to look into the fact that the creation of 31 more states has been clarified by the House of Reps, stating that it was a concerned initiative being thought by the House members, clarifying that it was not a fact that indeed 31 states were created. It is a move that will involve deep consultations, serious consultations between members of the House. However, Arewa has reacted. Also, some Eastern leaders have reacted to the creation of the states. The deputy speaker there, who says, as a chairman of the House Committee on Constitution Review, stated that the House had only received 31 proposals from private individuals and groups seeking the creation of new states. And he emphasized that these proposals do not mean that the House has endorsed or is actively working on creating new states. Barrister Fred Nzako is supposed to also help us understand what the legislative process involves in the creation of new states, and if at this point in time that should be the necessity, considering the fact that in the VAT report that was released 2 or 3 weeks ago for 2024, only 4 states were viable enough, meaning the states could survive without the FAC allocation. These and more are some of the intricacies that are meant to be discussed. I am still trying to connect with Barrister Fred Nzako to see if he can give us his insights into some of these issues. However, we may be able to as well look at other legal practitioners that will help us examine these issues. We'll take a very short break while I try to contact once again, and we'll be right back. Just stay with us. I currently have Barrister Jide Bakare joining me via the telephone. Barrister Jide Bakare, thank you for joining me. I am so sorry for calling you on the spot. I had an analyst that I had spoken with earlier, but he seems to be busy at this point in time. Barrister Jide, let's look at the creation of the supposed proposed 31 new states to be created. The House of Reps have given a clarification on that proposal, saying that that is untrue. Do you think this is a means of them testing the waters to see if Nigerians will be receptive of the idea before implemented? Or you think this clarification is coming now because a lot of Nigerians are disgruntled as to the fact that this should not be a priority at this time, considering the underdevelopment being recorded in most of the states? What's your take on that?
Thanks for having me. First of all, the creation of states
Yes.
is if anybody were to say they want to create states now, it will just mean that either person is an enemy of the country, or that they just don't understand what it is to run a country.
Okay.
Because why would you create states now when there are so many states that are not viable? If you give them the option, other than the money coming from the federal government, many of them have nothing else that they do. So to create new states in addition to so many viable states, I think I've heard from what I read from StatiSense that it's just only about a third or a quarter of the states in Nigeria are viable as an economic entity. So you want to add or split such unviable states, create 31 new legislatures, create 31 new governors, permanent secretaries. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. So whatever it is that made them bring out that clarification, we thank them for the clarification.
Okay.
But Nigeria does not need it now. What we need are statesmen.
All right, Barrister Judy Bakari. So, because of the way Trump's second coming, this is the second time Trump is on board, and right now Trump doesn't care. He's been signing a lot of executive orders, and a couple of African nations are afraid that they will not be the focal point of Trump's, Trump's uproar with the executive orders he's been signing, which has created room for speculations and stories that that may not be true. Now, a particular story is circulated on social media. Can you hear me?
Go on, please, go on.
Yes.
Go on, I can hear you.
Yes. So a particular story circulated on social media that Trump has ordered the arrest of Nyesom Wike. Now, that particular story isn't true because obviously, as we have seen, the fact that the depositing of funds on US aids across several African countries, Nigeria included, does not necessarily mean that Trump has any sovereignty over our political leaders, especially if they do not have any legal issue with the United States. Why do you think this particular information on the arrest or the call on the clampdown for the arrest of Nyesom Wike will be right here on the news or on social media? Why would any individual peddle such information? What do they intend to gain? Or could it be that people are taking advantage of the supposed destabilization that Trump's executive order is causing across board?
Well, the executive orders of Trump are just they are just plays into the gallery.
Okay.
There are things that will not work because many of the things that he's trying to change by executive order, they are either things that were established by a long line of cases or constitutional issues. You cannot change the provisions of the Constitution by just fiat, by the president just signing one ugly-looking signature and saying that, for instance, birthright citizenship is no longer valid when it is a part of the provisions of the Constitution of the United States. Be that as it may, that concerns them. I am a Nigerian, I live in Nigeria. The issue of people saying that Trump has ordered the arrest of Nyesom Wike, a minister in Nigeria, it is completely ridiculous. Whoever started the rumor probably has some stone to grind with Nyesom Wike, and being unable to reach him, he has started that rumor. But why would any president in his right senses order the arrest of a minister of another country when you have absolutely no sovereignty over? It could influence, maybe if he says when the man enters the United States, you arrest him, but for what exactly?
Exactly.
So you remember that during the first term of Trump, some people went to him, held meetings, and said they have orders to do this and that in Nigeria. But it's just wishful thinking. People who want to change government to participate politically and ensure play to win. There is politics of just participating. There is politics of how to win. When you win, you make all the changes you want to make. That is what politics is about. A lot of people are not happy with Trump, but I've heard people say that the people who elected Trump are the people who did not vote.
The people who elected Trump are the people who did not vote.
people who did not vote, yes, they are the ones who are responsible for his election. So it's neither here nor there. So people should participate in politics and let it go.
All right, but the thing is, he has been taking several decisive actions. One of the prominent update is the fact that he has told law enforcement agencies and the immigration agency to arrest any illegal immigrant. Right now, a lot of illegal immigrants are hiding because their papers are not legal or they've overstayed the legibility of their documents. But in as much as that is the case, we have not heard any case whereby Nyesom Wike has any legal issue with the United States. Even if there is, maybe it's under the carpet, it's not well known. But even if you have any legal issue with the United States of America, does that warrant the United States of America to order for your arrest? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand what you're saying, but just like I said earlier, it makes no sense whatsoever that the president of the country, if anything at all, maybe it will be the director of the FBI who is having his own troubles, who will make such a pronouncement that this person is a persona non grata. Anytime he enters the United States, there is a lot to have him arrested. The immigration thing, I'm sure you have heard that the farms, the people who are running the agricultural areas of the United States, they are complaining bitterly because some of their farm produce are getting rotten on the ground because there is nobody to harvest them, because most of the workers are hiding. Because the people of ICE, the immigration service, they are going into farms, into churches, into synagogues, everywhere to arrest people. It is an ill-advised policy, and I am sure within the next 6 months we are going to hear how he either stops talking about it or they moderate it and have some common sense policy in place. You cannot just arrest everybody.
Bakr, you made mention of the fact that the FBI currently has an issue with Donald Trump. The FBI that was reinstated by Joe Biden, former president of the United States of America. Can you help us highlight what one of the issues could be? Because from the stories or reports I've heard, the CIA and the FBI have been involved in quite a couple of unscrupulous activities that have affected the governance in some African countries. Do you think this is related to why the FBI's former chief could actually have issues with Donald Trump now?
No. The issues that he has with Donald Trump is one of the knee-jerk policies of Donald Trump, where he has appointed Elon Musk to be in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency. So one of the things that Elon Musk is trying to do is to reduce government size. So he has offered all employees of the federal government an opportunity to retire early.
All right.
I don't know how that makes sense. Even those who are performing critical functions, they have been offered to go now, to retire now immediately. So that's why I said the man is looking at the CIA, is looking at FBI, is looking at the Department of Education. So they have their own matters to think about now, rather than to bother themselves with the problems of Nigeria.
Barrister Judy Bakare, finally, before I let you go, with the 2027 elections fast approaching, although a couple of Nigerians feel that should not be the focal point in terms of conversation, as to the fact that people are trying to eat and businesses are trying to stay afloat, and God knows if we will have a Nigeria before 2027. There are some opposition political parties, specifically from the New Nigerian People's Party, the Labour Party, the All Progressives Congress, a faction of the All Progressives Congress. They intend to form a coalition to unseat the president in 2027, and one of them is the fact that these defectors and others from the political party that intend to form this coalition are complaining that there is a major disgruntled within the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They talked about corruption, they talked about bias, they talked about selective justice being implemented on certain persons, they talked about stifling of expressions, that is where anyone who criticizes the administration is clamped on, arrested, slammed with treasonable charges. Do you think they have a potential, however, for 2027, considering the fact that we have major fractures in some of these political parties?
In your usual character, Esther, you have given me one question that has 10. but I will try as much as possible to answer it as much as I can.
Thank you.
Okay, so the election coming up in 2027 is going to be very, very interesting.
Yes.
Interesting in that a lot of people just talk.
Okay.
And politics is not about talk. It's about strategy.
Okay.
It's about alliances. It's about what you have planned. You cannot. It is almost too late to influence 2027 politics for anybody who has not been working on it for 5 years. It's almost too late. So all these parties, is it PDP? Is there a party so called anymore? It is more or less dead. There is nothing that they are doing. There is no formidable opposition. Even the Labour Party that we are talking about, there is so much infighting. You hardly see even Peter Obi talk about Labour Party. He's talking about Peter Obi everywhere he goes.
Yes.
So I don't see how this their coalition is going to give us any viable alternative in 2027. But I'm willing to be surprised.
Okay.
Let's see what they are going to do to surprise us. But they are not, even they themselves, they are not together.
Okay.
So how are they going to seat a party that is together? They are together. Of course, their togetherness. We know a lot of people when they complain because they are not the ones perpetrating all these things they are complaining about. So where are the Labour Party the representatives are elected to the National Assembly? Did they not accept all these things that we are complaining about? Of course they did. So I mean that shows you that when people complain, they complain because they have the stealing finger is not in their mouth.
All right, Barrister Judith Bakari, thank you so much. I know I called you on the spot, but thank you for helping us, giving us your insight into some of these issues. It tells me that you're really updated on issues in the polity. I sincerely do appreciate.
Thank you very much, Esther.
Thank you very much. Yes, you too, sir. And now to wrap up the world news at 12, here again are the top stories. Trump imposes sanctions on International Criminal Court. Trump's order on U.S. aid disrupts family planning services. In Bauchi State, police drop 1.3 billion naira fraud charges against top Lagos GAC member San, 4 others. House of Reps gives clarification on proposal for creation of new states. Opposition APC defectors intensify talks to form mega coalition. Uproar as IGP PSC clash over retirement of police officers. That's a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Esther Wachiku. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned for Martyrs.
Ndị bank kwandalụ nene kunsi wenesela n'iru akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 ka ife ori kwụgbasta maka ya bụ ife ndị nụ n'iru akwụkwọ nwanne anyị bụ Esther kọwagasị dị iche iche gbasta maka ya bụ ka United States of America president iji wee nye order si ka eme Wike arrest. Alright, ka ife ori kwụgbasta maka ya bụ ife tụsa ya bụ ozi ka ụmụnne anyị ndị ọzọ wee ghọta wee nụkwana ife na-eme n'ebe dị iche iche n'obodo nọ n'ime ya. Ngwadarụ dị nene ụmụnne m kemesi